Hey everyone, Kathy the Vegan Prepper here, and welcome to a day in my life. Do-do-do, do-do-do-do, vegan prepper. Do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do, vegan prepper. First off, I'm dropping Sage off at preschool, which is not something I'm filming, and then I'm coming home and we're gonna take care of some orders and some lemons. Sage has cute toenails she wanted to show. These are all piggy paint colors. That's the brand that I use. She just loves colored toenails. Oh yeah, and then there are your hands. And they are, we need to refresh it, huh? Maybe we can refresh it later. But yeah, she picked all the colors herself.
Mommy finger, where are you? Here I am, how do you do?
I am in my kitchen. I'm going back to basics today. I'm trying to take care of some things in such a way that helps things not feel so overwhelming. And so obviously it's not that bad. So I thought, because of the fact that I have been experiencing a little bit of stress and anxiety lately and some overwhelm, just specifically surrounding kind of the amount of things I have to do and the constancy of the things that need to be done. It's like literally every day you are never finished, right? Like it feels like you're never enough, or what you do. Here, let me turn around so I can look at you while I'm talking. Not that it's you, but you know. But it's like those feelings that we can get, especially as moms, as stay-at-home moms, but I think women in general, that the feelings of overwhelm can come, and that because it's like literally nothing that we ever do is enough, because it's just literally never enough, right? Because there's never going to stop being tasks to do. There will always be another thing to do. And it seems like no matter how hard or how constantly you work, you will never be done. And I think that it is just a reality of existence. We can try really hard to put a positive spin on it. Like I try to remind myself that the reason I always have dishes is because we always have food. Praise God. I would not want to stop the flow of dishes in my house, because that would mean we don't have food, right? Like, so you try to think about it and be positive about it, but it just comes to a point sometimes where it is too much. And so I just wanted to share that with anybody else out there who's feeling those feelings, that it isn't you. You are fine. You are enough. You yourself are enough. The reason it feels like it's never enough, and that's like our efforts are never enough. And then I think we begin to internalize it, where we say, I'm not enough. It's just not true. It's just the nature of the job, that you yourself are enough. You are worthy. You are loved, and it's okay. So sometimes we need to just sort of put some systems in place that help us get through the overwhelming times. And so that's kind of what I realized. It's like, well, I've been feeling all of this stress and overwhelm because of course I am, because of course I would, because of course the job is overwhelming and constant and it never stops, right? Like this is just like, it's just the way it is. And it doesn't have to be a thing. That's like, like I say to my kids all the time, if you get one momism from me, the primary one has to be, it doesn't have to be a thing. Like basically meaning, I think we blow stuff up in our minds and make things so much more than they are. It's like, it's just the reality. Just like every time you use the restroom without meaning to be gross, but to hopefully put a spin on it, you're just like, if you do number 2 in the restroom, and I'm talking like that not because you're a child, but because I don't know what YouTube demonetizes for at this point. So it's like, do they just demonetize even for that? I don't know. But if you do a number 2 in the restroom, you're gonna have to wipe. Like you just have to wipe. You just have to take care of it. It's a yucky thing. But at this point, we've gotten to where we don't think about it anymore. One of my favorite things I ever heard from one of the pastors at my church too was talking about how, you know, now that we are believers and we have a new identity in Christ, that even still though we deal with our flesh. We deal with who we are or who we used to be. Like, it still will come out sometimes, whether that is frustration or anger or the stress, the anxiety, the overwhelm feeling of dealing with things, because we're making it more than what it is in our heads. But even still, whatever it is that we deal with, it comes out of us sometimes, but it's not us. And the picture that they actually used was of the number 2 in the toilet. Like, you can get up, man, that stinks. It stinks sometimes, right? Like you get in there and you're like, I should light a candle, but maybe I shouldn't light the candle because I'm afraid I will blow the house up if I light a candle right now because it is so bad in here. But we get rid of that stuff. We realize that is not me. It's in the toilet. It's a waste product of basically what I used to be. Like, and I just wipe and I flush and I deal with it, but I don't identify myself with what just came out in the toilet, right? Just like for us, when we experience these feelings of stress and overwhelm, sometimes anger, sometimes anxiety, whatever it is, these feelings of not being enough, these feelings of not being good enough, that's not us. That's old stuff coming out. And if we can learn to separate who we are intrinsically inside with some of those things, I think we're going to be, a lot better off. Just to realize, okay, it just needs a wipe and a flush and I'm good, because that's not me, right? But I do want to show you, because I love to give tools, and that's part of this too, is like, I'm going to try show you kind of what I mean when I say I'm going back to basics. Maybe some of you don't even have basics to fall back on. So I'm going to show you this book, though. This is not where I got my basics, but we're going to talk about really fast this book, How to Keep House While Drowning. It's a really fantastic book for anybody who is neurodivergent, especially trying to keep straight with the cleaning, whether you're ADHD, on the spectrum, whatever. I have said I believe I'm ADHD, but actually, totally transparent here, with my son being diagnosed with autism this last year, and reading and researching, looking into it, especially with how autism presents in women, I'm beginning to think I don't have ADHD. I'm genuinely beginning to think I might have autism instead. So that is an interesting journey that I'm going to be going on soon to see if I do meet the criteria. But man, would it explain a lot about why I am the way I am, if that's true. So anyway, I will definitely keep you guys updated and apprised of those things as they move forward. But like I said, I'm going to just show you kind of, I didn't mean to talk that long, but I think it's necessary. I think sometimes we need to talk about these things. We need, I don't know, just in general, to be more open. I had a comment on one of my videos. It's the only comment, and I will freely admit, the only comment that truly has upset me. It didn't upset me. It made me angry. It was the only comment. But even that, it wasn't so much because it was about me. It was somebody who said something about like, oh, how many mental health red flags can you fit into one video and one persona? I think is what the comment was. It's probably verbatim, because I tend to remember things. I remember words and numbers really well. They just stick in my head. So, and I remember just being so angry, not because they were calling me out for having indications of like mental health stuff. Although for me, I don't necessarily know like what we think of as mental health. I don't know. Like, that's something I think about sometimes, where I don't know that necessarily applies or is the correct wording. I think that really it's neurodivergence is what it is like, some people just have different brains and they function differently. The reason I got angry was because this person apparently observed something in me that they see as a mental health whatever thing. And instead of saying something supportive, like maybe you need help or you need therapy or whatever, even though that can be kind of rude in and of itself. But like, instead of being loving about it, they say, man, this person has mental health problems. I'm going to make sure that I make fun of them for it, or, say something nasty to them about it. So it's like, there are people out there who exist who would do that. And that, I don't know, that really upset me. So I don't know. I just think that we need to be we need to normalize, I think, a bit of neurodivergence, but also not just normalizing the neurodivergence itself, but normalizing that it doesn't mean that you have to be stuck, right? And that's, I think, the main thing that I would like to say. The main thing that I like to talk about is that, like, sure, who knows? I might be autistic and I might have issues with executive function, but that doesn't mean that I shouldn't keep my kitchen clean. Like, I need to find systems that help. That book is very helpful. I will say really fast, there is some random swearing in there, which I do think is hilarious for a book that's meant for neurodivergent people, especially people on the spectrum, you know, like language, the literal nature of some people's brains, especially on the spectrum when they take language, that swearing and like taboo language in general can be a very difficult and tricky thing to navigate, where understanding that this is not appropriate at all times or for all people, you know, so understanding the usage and appropriate usage of swearing, if there is one, is something that is very difficult, I think, for some people to piece through. And so the fact that this is a book aimed, like written by a therapist aimed at neurodivergent people, and she includes swearing in it, like that was the part that I was like, what? Like, what are you doing? Like, anyway, that was the only thing. So that's the only thing I have to say about that book. But otherwise, overall, it's a beautiful book. It's really helpful for anybody who struggles, especially. But I've talked long enough about this. Let me show you what I mean when I say I'm getting my kitchen back and I'm going back to basics. What do I mean by that? Let me show you. I got home. So when I say going back to basics, one of the primary things is making sure that the dishwasher actually gets run at night. That was something I originally picked up from Fly Lady, and I don't think that there is any other tip that I have ever gotten from any other person in any other context that has meant more to the cleanliness and functionality of my kitchen than that. Because basically the idea is that you run your dishwasher at night, you unload it in the morning, and now you have an empty dishwasher all day long. All the random little, like this is my little knife from breakfast, all the little random dishes that you use throughout the day now have a home in the dishwasher, and they're not out cluttering up your space. It's like literally like, it's so simple, but it has to be possibly the most powerful kitchen maintenance tip that I have ever received. And yeah, I had fallen by the wayside on that, but last night I decided we're starting this again because this is super helpful to me throughout the day. So basically the way that this works though is I don't have only dishwasherable dishes. Some of my dishes have to be washed by hand. And so basically what I do is I get anything that needs to be washed by hand, I go ahead and get it soaking, even though not necessarily all of it needs to soak, but the rice paddle from last night, for instance, definitely needs to get soaked because it's got dried rice on it. While that is soaking, I will empty the dish drainer and I will empty the dishwasher. This usually will take about 10 minutes. I also think that that is key, is knowing how much time these jobs take, because a lot of the hurdle, especially for anybody with neurodivergence, where you get overwhelmed before you start because it feels insurmountable a lot of times, but go ahead and I know that there's like the trick of setting a timer, which can also be helpful because you know you're not getting stuck forever in a job. And so that can help you get started if you know I'm allowed to quit after 15 minutes. But I also think timing yourself on certain jobs so that you don't necessarily have to set a timer is another great tip. So I know for a fact that emptying my dishwasher and that actually usually even loading it again, I'm pretty sure the whole combination takes about 10 minutes. And so I know that this is a 10-minute job, less than 10 minutes actually, because I just realized I'm not like fully reloading it again. And I know that going in, and it's less overwhelming. So once this is finished and all the little random dishes are put in there, I will go ahead and do the hand wash dishes, which when there's not very many of them like this, I know only takes me about 5 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and get that done. So we are looking at, without me talking about it, we're looking at probably about 15 minutes of work. So what I'm going to do now is stop filming, and then, oh, look, lo and behold, perfection. It's 9:44. So theoretically, I will get all of this done and be back, and we'll see what time it is. And you can see how long it takes for me to get all of that done. Now, granted, of course, there's not very much because I did my due diligence last night and took care of that dishwasher. But yeah, let's go ahead and see where we are in when I come back. Oh my gosh, it was basically exactly 15 minutes. So I did get everything done that I mentioned. There's definitely some deep cleaning that I could do, you know, whether that's scrubbing my sink, washing the shelf behind the sink, the little plate underneath my soap there gets kind of scuzzy. I need to wash that, wash the front of my dishwasher, wipe it down in my oven. Those things I'm not doing though. And I'm not doing them on purpose because I am also getting back into my cleaning schedule. And so I will just show you really fast what I'm talking about that if you don't remember what I have done in the past. So I like to use the organized mom method. And so this is another place where, again, I'm just sort of getting back to basics. And this is very helpful to me. I think this also helps a lot with a lot of what I was talking about earlier with that whole it's never done thing, because it isn't ever done. But this helps to kind of categorize certain cleaning duties to certain times. And I don't necessarily want to take the time to fully explain this, but if you go to the organizedmom.blog, and I will also link where you can get these printables. I will link those down below. And they're not my printables, they're hers, but you'll just go straight to her website where you can download these. I also do recommend the book. The book was really good. It really does kind of explain some of this. And so I'll link that down below too. Everything is going to have links. Everything I'm talking about today, I will have links. Disclosure, they will be sponsored links. So if you don't want to use those, not like the printables, because that's not mine at all. That's just hers. But if for whatever reason you don't want to use sponsored links or, you know, like affiliate links, sorry, not sponsored. I'm not being sponsored at all. But if you don't want to use affiliate links for, you know, whatever reason, that's totally fine. I always write exactly what the thing is that I'm linking. So you can always just search that yourself. Go to thriftbooks.com, see if you can find the books there before you purchase them on Amazon. Go to your local bookstore, whatever. But I am providing the links down there. And yeah, so if you do buy through the links, it does help us out a bit. But obviously, shop wherever you want to shop. Okay, so I've done the kitchen, and so because it is today's the living room. That's also typically the day when I film my day in the life videos, because I know I've done a day in the life video where I talk about my living room. And so here, I'll show you the state of my living room a bit. So again, this is not like, it's not terrible because, you know, I function best when I am keeping things cleaned up, and space functions best. I do have Sage like pick up her own toys and things like that. However, stuff builds up on the piano. The piano is where our stuff builds up, especially her little crafts, her little drawings. And it is completely impossible to get rid of those while she's around. So I am even though I have a lot of orders that I need to finish for Etsy today, I can technically do that while she's home. She interrupts a lot, but I can still get it done. Whereas going through and like recycling and or throwing away her little school projects and her little church papers, that is something I cannot do while she's present. So I have to do that while she's gone. I haven't had it yet that she'll show up and be like, "Where's my paper, Mom?" I really hope that never starts happening. But you know, you get to the point, like I have gotten to the point, she's my third child. My oldest child is 21 years old, okay? This is not my first rodeo. I have done this before. It is unreal, the amount of papers that you get from your kids. And so I don't know if that is something that somebody else needs to hear today, that it's okay to get rid of them. What I have done personally, and I'm trying to see if these books are over here or not. Oh, here's one of them. I have given her, now this is like kind of highfalutin, but you don't have to do something like this, but just a little notebook. I give a little notebook that she can color in. This is a really old one, but you can have like drawings and colors, but I put it like in a little notebook form. She has some others. She has another notebook that I gave her. Oh yeah, here's this one. This one is specifically for her stickers, like, so she can have a place to put her stickers. Wait, oh no, this is not the sticker one. But it's just another one where she's allowed to draw and write. She's beginning, it's amazing to see the transition. And just for me personally, as a mom, I find it so much easier to deal with to deal with like a couple of little notebooks rather than trying to store huge numbers of papers. I think she's on her, like her second or third notebook. She's almost 5. So it's really not that much. And then at some point she's going to start creating like little crafts, and I'll keep like little more solid things. Like I have this kind of silly little clay heart, for instance, that my son made, you know, forever ago. And I use it to like store little rings or whatever. And so that stuff will start showing up too. And those are the things that I think that mean more and last longer. And you don't have to keep every single paper that comes into your house. So yes, I'm going to recycle what I can recycle and throw away what I have to throw away. And that's just what I'm going to do. And I have to do it. I have to do it while she's gone because she will not be okay with me doing it while she's here. Anyway, also, oh yeah, I have purchased some bushes from Home Depot, blackberry and raspberry, and seed starting mix. These are chairs we're selling, fruit I haven't put away, reusable bags that need to go back into my car. Like, this is like, it's just like reality. Like these random little things that don't get taken care of. Like, I don't know, my apple fell out of this bag apparently. I don't even know. So, you know, whatever. So I will get some of that stuff put away as, oh, my tomatoes. I forgot I have tomatoes. So yeah. I need to pick up in my living room today. So I'll get that done while she's gone because, again, of just kind of how impossible it is to do it while she's home. I can work on the orders when she gets back. Oh, one more thing. I want to say I have kind of another rule as far as the kitchen goes, that I will not hand wash a dish that can go into the dishwasher. I know that might sound silly, but you would be surprised how often it comes up for me. That I want to get something done and I just want things to look nice. Primarily on those days when I haven't done the dishwasher at night empty in the morning thing, I want to get it off my counter. So I want to wash a dish that could go in the dishwasher. And so I try to make a rule for myself to not do that so that it helps motivate me to get the dishwasher situation set up. One of the exceptions that I make though, which I think is important to every rule, obviously there's an exception, right? It's stuff like for instance, this is our little bread knife. And so I still have bread. I know we're going to be slicing bread again. I don't want that to go into the dishwasher because I'm going to need that again. So I went ahead and washed it with the hand wash dishes. So stuff like that. Usually it happens, this exception happens for things like kitchen knives because I always need my kitchen knives. But anyway, I thought I would mention that. I'm going to go clean my living room now. All right, so also, like with the reusable produce bags and reusable shopping bags in general, kind of as a rule, because this is something I really care about, but I would often forget, is I just take stuff out to my car like as soon as I see it. So my reusable produce bags go into one specific bag in my bag of reusable bags, so that there's no like, oh, I forgot my bag at home. I always have my bags with me. And then even like if we take my husband's car instead, I will quickly grab this bag of bags and then throw that into his car. And then that's what we do it. That's how I do it anyway, to sort of keep track of my reusable stuff so that I actually use it. And it's been working out really well, and it's become a habit now. It's just part of my life. Same thing with reusable cups. These now live here so that when we leave, if we want, you know, if we're going somewhere, we're gonna think we might stop for coffee or whatever, we take our cups with us. And that's how I navigate that. It's just like putting these things in place. It's not super attractive. I keep thinking I need to, I need to figure out a place to put these, that they're not just out all the time. But this is what works for now for us, to make sure that this is what we're doing and we're not getting disposable cups if we decide that we want to go out. Like we just did that yesterday, actually. We went to a local coffee shop that I really love and took our reusable cups, and Sage got her little lemonade in this cup, and I got an iced coffee, and Adam got his hot coffee in this one. So it's just, yeah, I don't know. It works really well for me. Like I am definitely, like I need to see it. It needs to be there or I will completely forget about it. So it's really hard to figure out how to balance that tendency with kind of a more minimalist desire, like where I desire clear surfaces, nothing out, but it's like, if it's not out, I forget. So I have to kind of figure out how I'm balancing it. And at this point, I care a lot more about trying to reduce waste and all of that. Doing my best to definitely reduce waste a lot. In 2023, that's one of my goals for this year, is to kind of put the habits in place that I need to make that possible. So anyway, okay. I'm actually cleaning the living room now. Gosh, you guys are so distracting. Everything is basically picked up to my satisfaction. I have dusted. I have done basically everything that I'm going to do for today. And so now I'm just going to sort of sit, look through a little magazine while I'm watching a little bit of YouTube, and I will send the robot vacuum in to finish the vacuuming job. I love that thing. I just took out the trash in the recycle, and it reminded me, because I was mainly doing that, like I need to go pick up Sage, but I was like, I gotta take out the trash in the recycle so she doesn't see all the stuff that I just threw away and recycled. But I don't mean to make myself sound like an unsentimental monster. I do keep certain things. So like this is her little all about me book that she just made. It has how old she is, what's her favorite color, the little drawing she did of herself, her favorite animal, her favorite movie, and she does all these little pictures. The stuff like this is very precious, right? Because that's like a little time capsule of Sage at this age. So I am absolutely keeping that. The the things I'm talking about primarily that I don't really keep, I realized that this is how I think of it, and I don't know if this can help anybody else who deals with the same thing. I actually, weirdly enough, I think of it like the slates in the one-room schoolhouses, like from way, long ago with the one-room schoolhouse, they would have a chalkboard. I still think something like that would be better for today because it's like so wasteful, the amount of stuff that comes home. Anyway, that's a whole other conversation. But stuff like they're just practicing letters, practicing words. Like it's great to see progress or whatever, but that's like on the slate. It would have been erased, years ago. We never would have had to deal with that or see that. And so that's the kind of stuff that, I just recycle that. I just chuck it. But then there's the kind of random special things like that little all about me book. And so I keep that. So I don't know if that really makes sense, but that's kind of how I see it and how I look at it, and sort of just release myself from the guilt and the mental load of trying to organize and figure out which things I keep and which things I don't keep as far as the stuff that comes in from the schools. But anyway, it's time to go get Sage now. Dealing with an Amazon return, and now I'm getting ready to make lunch. But basically, I ordered a 12-pack of the Edward & Sons brand not beef broth because Elliot has discovered that he loves that one like just the most out of he prefers it over the not chicken flavor. And so I get my 12 packs of those broth cubes on Amazon. But the beef one, for some reason, they keep sending me a single instead of a 12 pack. So the first time, they were really gracious and they just said, okay, let's replace it. So they sent me a replacement, which arrived today, and it was a single again. So it's like, it's supposed to be a 12 pack. And so they have now refunded me my money. And hopefully pretty soon I'll be able to order a 12 pack and actually get a 12 pack. But now I'm looking up online if there is a spot or a place where I can buy the 12 pack of the broth cubes other than Amazon, because the thing I think that kept going wrong is that the image is just a single it's a single item. It's not the box. And so I think whoever was in fulfillment just sees the image and grabs one, rather they don't read the description. So anyway, yeah. I need to get my 12 pack though, because Elliot really loves it. But yeah, anyway, I was just dealing with that. So now I'm going to go make lunch. I will show you how I'm going to reheat some food for lunch. Sage is home working on puzzles. Do you love puzzles?
Yeah.
They are practically her favorite thing to work on. So yeah, she's like us. We love puzzles too. So the way that I like to reheat my food relatively quickly, and we don't have a microwave, nothing necessarily specifically against them, just ours broke a really long time ago, and then while we were waiting to save up for a new microwave, we realized all of our food tasted better not cooking in the microwave, and so I just basically learned how to cook everything without a microwave. But when I like to reheat something really fast, I like to use my bamboo steamer. I'm pretty sure this is, I can't remember if it's a 9-inch or a 10-inch or even an 8-inch. I don't know. I will find it. I'll put it on the screen, whichever one it is. And so I just basically stick a plate in with whatever I need to reheat. This is leftover mac and cheese from a couple nights ago. Not real cheese, of course. This is the American cheddar cheese from the 1 Hour Dairy-Free Cheese book, which I just didn't ever add any agar to it and turned it into a sauce for macaroni and cheese. It turned out, oh my gosh, so good. And some leftover chickpeas. So basically I just get everything in the steamer like this. I'm gonna see if I can carry it over. The pot, oh, you know what? The pot's already boiling pretty heavily, so I'm gonna do this with 2 hands. Okay, now it's all set up. So there's maybe an inch and a half of water in the pot. Using the steamer, it'll take maybe 5 minutes, if that, to heat that all the way through. So in roughly 5 minutes, I will go ahead and check it and take it out. Meanwhile, I'm going to make a smoothie, and that will be kind of our source of fresh food for this meal. So yeah. Anyway, I just thought I would share that. How I reheat food. This works particularly well with things like leftover pasta, especially gluten-free pasta, which this is. And rice. So things that really benefit from a little additional moisture while they are reheating. They turn out so fluffy and so delicious using the steamer to reheat them like this. So anyway, just thought I would mention that. I thought I would show quickly how I rinse my kale, and hopefully I can do this kind of one-handed. This is just the quick way that I rinse off a few leaves at a time for smoothies. Okay, basically, oh my gosh, can you focus please? Okay, thank you. I'm saying it to the camera, not myself this time. Okay, so I basically rinse this off with water, and then I have these lovely little overhead lights. And so I put the leaf up close and I hunt for any aphids or anything, because they will show up so clearly with the light. And then once I'm sure that the leaf is clean, I just basically bring it over to my blender and rip it up and throw it inside. Using the light was an idea I got because I watched a video from It Up. Man, I'm not gonna try to do that one-handed. And if you are not familiar with the YouTube channel, here, I'm gonna get my steamer off just a second. I'm treating you guys like my son when we're calling on Zoom, like he's in Washington, DC. And I'm just treating you exactly the way I treat him. It's let me put you down. I've gotta do something. But anyway, It Up is an incredible YouTube channel. If you haven't checked her out or heard of her, please go over there and check her out. That's like, I laugh because I remind myself of all of the beautiful comments I get from people who say, you know, I'm not vegan, but I love your channel. And I just love it. Like, that's so sweet. I'm so happy that you watch. And she is an Orthodox, I believe, Sephardic Orthodox Jewish woman. She's kind of incredible. She's a doctor. They live in Canada, and she sort of shows her food prep. Again, a lot of it is obviously not vegan. So if anybody's triggered by, you know, shots of meat or whatever, but I still get a lot of really good ideas from her. So I laugh because it reminds me of those comments that I mentioned, because like, I'm not an Orthodox Jewish person, but my gosh, I love that channel. It's so fascinating. She brings you in, you can kind of learn a little bit about Orthodox Jewish life, and like, they shop at special stores and stay at special hotels and like why and what's going on there. But overall, she has to be possibly one of the most beautiful souls on all of YouTube. And I just love her. So definitely go check out From It Up and just see the channel and just the beauty of it. She is, I love her. I wish that like she and I could like hang out and have coffee or something. Now I'm like, do Orthodox Jewish people drink coffee? I don't know why they wouldn't. I might be confusing them with LDS. I think a lot of LDS people don't do coffee because of the caffeine, but anyway, regardless. Okay, I'm gonna finish this smoothie. I got my food off. Oh, I guess I am so treating you like my son right now. So we have this. Let me poke it. So notice I took it off the pot before I do this because the steam coming up is ridiculously hot. You can hurt yourself pretty bad. So let's see if I'm going to burn my fingertip. Ah, yes. Burning my fingertip. All right. That means that it's done. So I'm going to go ahead and actually just put the cover right back on and sort of keep it in there while I finish up the smoothie. And I'm not going to film while I'm doing the rest of the smoothie. Look at how far I got breaking my kale with one hand. I realized I never talked about why the light thing came from It Up. So they apparently, in order to be compliant with Jewish law, you cannot eat bugs in your food and your produce. So she has to go through a process every single time she makes her food to make absolutely sure, or preps her veggies or whatever, to make absolutely sure that everything is bug free. She actually has a special little light box that she uses to check all the leaves of her produce, and you can see bugs show up. I will link that video down below. It was so amazing. And also a little like, of how many bugs I've probably eaten in my life because I haven't really checked. But I was like, you know what? I don't have the little fancy light box, but I have these lights right here, and I can just like hold my leaves up to the light to verify that there's no like aphids or whatever on there. And yeah, it works really well. But I will link that video down below. It's fascinating. And again, her whole channel is so wonderful, and she herself is just so wonderful. I would hug her if I could. Okay. All right, I'm finishing for real. Can you focus, please? I'm talking to myself this time. Are you ready for a bite?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me make sure that it is nice and cool. Okay, it is. You like it? Mm-hmm. Good. Nice. Okay, then we will eat. Yeah, I'm still really hungry. I didn't have a lot of food on my plate once I split that between us. So I'm just having a slice of bread and then some of this Violife original cream cheese. We were stuck out at one point. I can't remember. Oh yeah, we were waiting to pick up my son from something. We were really hungry. It was late. We hadn't had dinner. And so we did run into a store, and I just grabbed this. We grabbed some sliced bread from the deli. And then we had like cream cheese and bread, or fake cream cheese, obviously. This is not real cream cheese. And then sort of held ourselves over until we were picking him up, and then we could eat a real meal. But I just wanted to say this is probably the best vegan cream cheese I have ever had in my whole life. So yeah, and that's speaking as somebody, or my whole life as a vegan, because I wouldn't have tried this before, but yeah, that's coming from somebody who used to really love cream cheese. This is absolutely delicious. So I'm going to do the bread, a little bit of that fake cream cheese, some homemade mango chutney. This recipe is just insanely good. And I will link this recipe down below. It's not my recipe, but I will absolutely share with you guys what recipe I use. This is just stunningly good. And then I'm going to finish dressing this with some more of the leftover chickpeas. And so this is going to be kind of just like the second course of my lunch. All right, here it is. Hopefully that's as good as I think it's going to be. It was better than I thought it would be. So yeah, crazy good. Definitely linking that recipe down below for you guys. I used frozen mango when I made my mango chutney, as an FYI. So it does say that that's okay and you can do that. And that's what I did. And oh my gosh, so good. All right. So now it's time to go ahead and print some shipping labels and focus on some orders. And yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing now. Getting ready to make a couple of batches of muffins, but I'm going to turn them into just little pie shapes instead. I got that tip from Three Rivers Homestead from a video I actually just watched earlier today. So I have mixes that I am perfecting. It's a really old recipe for chocolate chip mini muffins, which I have turned vegan and also now have turned into a mix. And I'm still making sure it's perfect before I share it. So once I get my next Azure order and I get my order of mini chocolate chips, because buying the Enjoy Life mini chocolate chips from the store is so expensive. Once I get my order, hopefully, cross your fingers, with the mini chocolate chips, because it seems like those, I never get them when I want them. I will definitely do a video on how I make the mixes. One of them I make with carob because Adam is allergic to chocolate. And so I'm going to just basically bake 2 separate pie tins and see how it turns out. So I'm going to need to do a little bit of greasing, and I think I've shown this a million times, but hey, what's 1,000,001, right? That basically what I like to do, I don't use sprays because it's wasteful. It gets everywhere. I feel like dishes are harder to clean with the spray as well. Like something about the propellant makes stuff stick. Like it makes the spray itself stick to your dishes and your dishes won't get clean. They'll end up with some film that you can't get off. So I just put like a really small amount of olive oil in the base of a dish and I go around just like with the pastry brush and I brush, and that's basically how I grease my dishes. For baking, I'm going to do the same thing over here with this one too, because I'm also going to make a batch of brownies. The reason I'm making so many of these kind of junky things is because that's another area where I'm wanting to reduce our waste, is in prepackaged convenience foods. And so basically to have batches of things made on hand so that people can grab, as a little extra fun thing for a lunch or whatever, without having to purchase packs of these pre-made items. And hopefully, it's not too much work. Being able to turn the muffins into a pie, if that works, I will be over the moon about that, because that'll be so easy. And then I can still cut it into relatively small squares is what my plan is, to make it still kind of almost like I made mini muffins, but way less trouble. So anyway, I'm going to continue working on all of this. Oh, and the brownie recipe I use, I'll link it down below. It's the Little House Living eggless brownie recipe. It's accidentally vegan, but I will say I cut the oil in half. It's way too much oil. It's like a sickening amount of oil to me anyway. If you would like to just try to make the recipe faithfully the way that she said the first time, then that's totally fine. I mean, obviously it works for her and her family, but for me, I was just like, ugh. So I cut the oil in half, and then I might need to add just a little water to get it to mix. However, the brownies do end up turning out maybe a little more cakey than fudgy. Probably if I would stick with the amount of oil she calls for, they would be more fudgy, but I'm just like, I can't do it. So anyway, I will link her recipe, her eggless brownie recipe below, and that's what I'm going to try to turn into a little mini bundt cake. I know it's not going to fill the thing, but yeah, again, I'm hoping that it will be almost more like a convenience thing. Just like take little slices. And yeah, I don't know. Somehow this works in my head better than making a thing of brownies, which you will just work your way through, right? Because brownies are so good. It feels like they disappear. I'm hoping having it in bundt cake form will make it last longer. I don't know if that's true or not. We'll see. And I will say mixes are so wonderful to have on hand, not just because they're handy and fast. Like for instance, it's literally less than 5 minutes since I've begun, and I already have one batch finished and the second batch started as far as my little bakes here. And so it ends up using so far fewer dishes when it comes time to actually make your recipe. And so I'm going to stir this. I'm like, let me put you down while I stir. Treating you like my son again. But just when you go to make stuff, you're using so far fewer recipes. You're not covering the counter in, measuring cups or whatever. At the end of this baking project, I'm going to make 3 batches of various baked goods. Basically, the only dish I'm going to really have to clean is this. Plus, obviously, these will end up going in the dishwasher, the measuring cup over there. I guess I will have a few more for this because this is not a mix yet, my brownies, but I don't know. It's just so convenient and so wonderful. And basically all you do to make a dry mix is take any of the dry recipes or dry ingredients in your recipe, put it together, and then you just add the liquid when it's time to cook. I've learned over the years, that for me personally, as nice as it is to have it like all layered and pretty in the bottles or the jars or whatever it is that you're using, really the best way to do the mixes is to actually mix them up in the jar or the bottle or whatever you're using, because that way you don't end up with layers that get stuck. So different dry ingredients will actually kind of attract moisture, it seems, and then they will get stuck where they are. Chocolate chips kind of do that. Sugar definitely does that. So in order to make it easy to pour, like you just saw, that was very easy for me to pour into the bowl, to make sure that your mixes are easy to pour when you're ready to use them, and you don't have to like stick a spoon in and try to stab one of the layers so that it will pour. The best way is to shake it up inside. And like I said, I know it doesn't make it as pretty sitting on your pantry shelf, but that is how you make it like the best, most easy to use, in the most easy to use format. Okay, there they are. 1 carob, 1 chocolate. And then I just had done the carob first and then the chocolate second so that I could just use the same bowl. Those will go in the oven for, 15 or 20 minutes. And I will meanwhile start the brownies. I have decided to wait until after the first muffin pies are basically done before I start the brownies. But basically I just got everything ready until I'm ready to put it in, and I'll just bring you back once everything is completely finished. But you can see already all my dishes, well, I guess except for like these, are taken care of. That is, again, just the beauty of having that empty dishwasher to work with, where you can do a lot and then you're not leaving messes because all of the dishes can just immediately go into the dishwasher. And yeah, it's pretty great. But is sighing in the living room right now because I need to go read to her. She wants me to read some books to her. So that's what we're going to do while we are waiting for everything to finish baking. Well, gosh, this is the first time this has ever happened to me, but my plate cracked. My son had he had forgotten a utensil at school, so he didn't eat his lunch, and I said, well, here, let's just heat it up for you really fast. And then he said, okay, so I was heating it up for him, his lunch, and my plate cracked. So the only thing I can think is, look, it cracked right here where it already had this impact. So there must have been maybe some hairline crack I didn't realize the plate had, and it cracked. So now I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I was just touting how wonderful this is, and then I cracked my plate. So I feel like I have to show this as well. As it's maybe a possibility that this might happen. Like I said, I've done it successfully. I mean, so many times. This is one of the ways we reheat our food quickly. So I don't know. I guess you can take the whole idea of steam reheating your food with a grain of salt and make your own choices. I'm getting ready to make us some tea now. This is I call it my berry beneficial blend. So it's one that I came up with. It's 2 parts nettle, 1 part elderberry, 1 part rose hips. And I just make it in this big all metal French press that I have. I can link one down below that's like this one. I absolutely love this thing. The other thing that's great about it is that it's got insulated walls, which I didn't know until I started making tea in it, because I let the tea sit for so long, and then sometimes I forget about it and I come back to it, 2 or 3 hours later, and it's still hot. So I love this thing for a new reason now. The original reason was that because it wasn't glass, it doesn't shatter. I've shattered plenty of French presses in my time, just treating them normally. Like, I'm actually very gentle with my things, for the most part. And I would just be washing it. It might just barely ding something and the whole thing would shatter. So I was like, I'm done with this. A few years ago, I just want an all metal one. My son found this one and bought it for me. I love it. But anyway, I'm putting 6 tablespoons total of this blend in here. It makes about 6 cups of tea. Plus I add 1 tablespoon of minced dried ginger because my husband hates the taste of elderberry, but I still want those benefits for us. So adding that tablespoon of ginger kind of changes the flavor profile just enough that he likes it and he will drink it. But we also just really love the tea as is, the rest of us. But yeah, it was 2 parts nettle, 1 part elderberry, 1 part rose hips. And obviously pretty soon I need to remake that, but that's the recipe, so that you guys have that. And it's absolutely a delicious tea. It kind of tastes like a juice when you sweeten it up. Oh my gosh, it's just so good. So yeah, I'll do this. I'm going to go ahead and use some of my honey here. I know we've talked many times on the channel about the honey. I don't think I have to go into it again. Yes, I know many strict vegans don't consider this okay, but we use honey. Specifically, raw local honey as kind of a homeopathic constant remedy in our teas to help deal with seasonal allergies. That's the main reason that I keep using it. So I will get that in here before I pour the water in, because then once it presses, it's hard to mix in after. So I'm going to add honey to it, put the water in, and then set the press up, and in like an hour, we'll press it and we'll have tea. All right, so here are the 2 finished muffin pies, and they turned out actually really well. Somebody already cut into this one. Not naming names, but it was Elliot. Just kidding. It was both of us. And then also we have the brownie as a bundt shape. Hopefully that turned out okay. And we'll know once it cools. But yeah, here are the 3 things that we baked, and they're looking good. Look who just asked for more muffin. Just like he thinks that I make these things for him. How dare you? So that went perfectly, didn't it? Oh my gosh. Hey, Elliot, Sage, do you guys want ugly brownies? Yeah. We won't judge them by their appearance. Do you want to try a chunk of ugly brownie? Yeah. Here you go. It's good? Okay, good. Look, it went perfectly.
It has a beautiful personality.
I'm sure it does, right? Man looks on the outward appearance. The Lord looks on the heart. Is it good?
Beautiful personality.
Right? They're delicious. They're completely delicious. But yeah, I don't know that we're going to go through them any slower than normal with like cute little slices like I envisioned. But we'll see. I have yet to have anything come out of that bundt pan. It was a score. I got it for $3 at a local thrift shop. The Pampered Chef stoneware bundt pan. I have yet to have something come out that didn't completely fall apart. I don't know if it's because everything I'm making is vegan, but like I have other things like where I put out of a pan, onto something else, and those will stay together and be fine. But for whatever reason, nothing comes out of that stoneware pan yet. I'm hoping just over time as I build the seasoning, it will happen and I will get myself a nice bundt cake at some point. But until then, I guess basically everything I make in that bundt cake pan, I should know, it is destined to be a crumble. So anyway, it still works and it's absolutely delicious. That recipe is fantastic. Definitely go check it out. So what, do you want something? Is that what's happening? More brownie, huh? Okay, you can have that, but let that be your last chunk, okay? All right. All right, tonight I'm getting ready to make my famous, at least in our house, pineapple teriyaki baked tofu. I'm not even sure I should make a recipe video for this because I use, oh, there's my oven preheating. I use so many prepackaged things, or I guess just one thing, but basically I find this at Costco for now. Who knows when it will disappear, but this is a vegan teriyaki sauce. It's absolutely delicious. So basically what I do is I cut 2 16-ounce blocks of tofu. Last time I used my own homemade tofu. This time I haven't made any. We're down to our last 4 blocks. So I have to make a decision from there. Like, am I doing, am I going cold tofu on the tofu in containers? I don't know. I have to decide. But I do really want to start making all of our own tofu from scratch. I need to experiment with making larger batches to make it a little less work. So we're going to see. All of this is stuff that I'm going to be exploring as we go through this year. But basically all I do is I slice 2 16-ounce blocks of tofu. I aim for about 7 slices. And that fits basically perfectly inside of my baking dish here. This is a baking dish. I'm not sure what the size is. I got it at an estate sale. I don't have any idea how big it is, but it is slightly larger than a 9x13. But this is the dish that I use for this. If you were using a 9x13, then maybe aim for 6 slices, or just, figure out how you can make it all fit. But basically I do that. I usually do a can of pineapple. If I don't have a can of pineapple, then I will just do pineapple juice, and that works well too. But I do the can of pineapple in juice, and I put the juice in as well. And then we also do a cut bell pepper. I usually do red. I guess it doesn't necessarily matter which color you use. I just think this is pretty. It's the one I usually get. I don't know. We like the red ones. We get a lot of red ones. I don't usually, I never buy green ones unless I'm forced. I just don't. I don't like the taste of green bell peppers. I like the ones that have color. But there is basically a cut bell pepper, pineapple juice, the teriyaki sauce. So I'm going to try to pour this through the camera. Okay, here we go. I pour a decent amount, but I'm going to try not to use it all because we always like to add just a little extra at the end. But see, this is what I'm talking about. Like, should this even be a recipe video? Let's look at that. Like, it's not even, I don't give you an amount. I just sort of pour it on. So this is what I do. And I forgot there's one more thing. I need some minced garlic. But then it just goes into the oven for like an hour. And then there it is. Boom. At 400 degrees for an hour. And we have our beautiful baked tofu. So yeah, that's it. It's nothing mysterious about it. Let me get the minced garlic on. There is minced garlic. I did decide to also add the last of the chickpeas that I have to use up from the last big batch of chickpeas that I made in my Instant Pot. Adam won't be thrilled about that, but he can pick them out. It's fine. He hates chickpeas. So I'm realizing how many times in this video I'm telling you the things that he doesn't like. He doesn't like much. As long as he still likes me, I'm fine. But yeah, I try to cook to everybody's preferences, but sometimes people just sort of have to deal, right? Like, and that's true for everyone. It's true for me too. So basically he can just pick them out if he doesn't want them. I'm actually kind of wondering if these will turn into crispy chickpeas, like up on top, and that might be kind of yummy. So I'll get this into the oven for about an hour. I'm going to put a batch of rice into my Instant Pot, and then from there we will have our dinner. When it comes out of the oven, I love to sprinkle on a little bit of cut up green onion and cilantro. It makes it so pretty and so tasty. In my yard, the green onion bottoms will become perennials and they'll become gigantic. and I'll harvest off of them for years to come. So I don't know if you've seen some of my past garden videos and seen some of my giant green onion plants, how big they get, but yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and stick this guy in the ground tomorrow. And so I'm just gonna keep it in a little bit of water overnight so that the roots don't dry out before I go do that. All right, here is our dinner, and this is where I will leave you. It's been a very long video. If you have stayed with me this whole time, thank you for hanging out with me. And I hope that you enjoyed it and got something good out of it that will help make your life easier and, I don't know, better in some way. Anyway, I've enjoyed our time together. I hope you have too. And as always, I hope the rest of your day is good and your life stays wonderful. See you next time. Bye.